Hello guys, it is Gate of Theories here, and guys, the brand new Pixar film Turning Red has just been released, so I thought what better time than to do a update of a Pixar tier list, and let's see where Turning Red fits in compared to all of the other great Pixar films. Before we get started though, I just want to let you guys know that I absolutely love Pixar, love all of their films, so even if a film is on the D tier, it doesn't mean that I absolutely hate it, it just means compared to these other brilliant classic films that Pixar gives us, it's just not as good as them, but it's still a good movie. Just wanted to let you know. And I do have some, I've heard controversial opinions on Pixar films. Some you'll definitely agree with me, and some you probably will disagree with me completely. So let me know what you guys think about my thoughts, and tell me what your thoughts are down below in the comments. And before we go any further, please make sure that you've clicked the red subscribe button down below and have your notifications turned on so that you get notified every time we make any brand new Pixar videos. So here we are in the tier list, and what I've done is I basically decided to do them in release order. So starting with Toy Story, of course, absolute classic, 1995, first ever computer generated animated film, and ending with the most recent one, Turning Red. So let's start with Toy Story, and there's going to be no surprise here. It's S tier, it's incredible, not only just because it's a brilliant film and such a creative idea, like just thinking what did the toys get up to when their owner's not there, just some of the themings that it does. I love the characters, the relationship between Woody and Buzz is especially brilliant in this film, especially considering Woody was meant to be the villain at first. And I think Sid is a brilliant villain, not gonna lie. And that creepy scene at the end where they all kind of like come alive to Sid still gives me nightmares to this day. And not to mention just the revolutionary thing that this film did. Without it, we would not have anything like this. We wouldn't have Illumination Entertainment. We wouldn't have stuff like Walt Disney films. So stuff like Frozen and Moana and all those other really cool classic films that we all love. We can thank because Pixar did it first with this film. What a brilliant film, definitely S tier. Next we have A Bug's Life. Now, of course, they want to start off strong with Toy Story, which was amazing. And then they brought out A Bug's Life, which at the time was still like as revolutionary, like, wow, this is so amazing. But the story itself wasn't as good, in my opinion. I'm glad that they went with Toy Story as their first film to kind of show how amazing this animation technique is, because Toy Story is a brilliant story. A Bug's Life, yes, it's an interesting story, let's go and join the circus. It's just not as engaging to me personally. I prefer DreamWorks' Ants, which is basically DreamWorks' version of A Bug's Life, and I think that one's much more better. This one, I don't think it's the worst, but I don't think it's definitely not up here. I think C tier, like, it's okay. Next we have Toy Story 2, again, absolute classic, absolutely love it, and you'll notice a trend here. I love the Toy Story films, and Toy Story 2 just adds so much more as well. We of course have Andy with his new house, Woody with his broken arm, Al's toy barn is brilliant. It's great to see Woody this time separate from just every toy that he knows rather than him separate with Buzz. And Buzz's journey to find Woody with all of his friends are really cool. Zurg in it is brilliant, and I love Jessie and Bullseye. And the ending, that airport scene is brilliant. It used to make me always, as a kid, and probably still now actually, want to try and see if I can hide in a suitcase and see what it's like behind that area where in the airport just before the suitcases get on the plane, because this film made it look so cool. So for that reason, S tier, no doubt about it. Monsters Inc. S tier as well. You'll notice a trend here. All of these classic films are just brilliant. Monsters Inc., to be honest, I'm going to put it right at the top, like higher than these two films, because it's just so brilliant. I absolutely love it. The idea of monsters in Monstropolis using doors to travel back in time to the human world to gain their scream energy to power their cities is the most interesting and ridiculous and insane idea I think I've ever heard, and it just works. Like, I don't know how it works, but it does. And Sully and Mike together are absolutely brilliant. I love them together. Randall is a perfect villain. Mr. Waternoose is just brilliant, and Boo, you've got to love Boo. I just love everything about this film. It's so good, and it goes down as one of my favorite films of all time. Love it. So for that reason, S tier. Next we have Finding Nemo. I absolutely love Finding Nemo. I think what an interesting story. I love all of the characters, Nemo, Marlin, Dory, and I definitely do think this is better than Finding Dory, as you'll find out later when we finally get to that one. And I really do like it. I just don't think it's as good as these, because like I say, I love every single Pixar film. I love all of these. Like, they're some of my favorite films. Like, when I want just a bit of cheering up, I go to watch a Pixar film. So, the S tier, to get on this tier, you have to be exceptional in everything. Like, you have to be so good. Finding Nemo is so good. However, it's not, like, it hasn't reached just that moment compared to these films. So for me, top A tier. Like, it's on the verge, but it doesn't make it just. Next, we have The Incredibles. Again, that is brilliant. Is it better than Monsters, Inc.? I don't know. This honestly depends, like, day to day. I think today I'm going to say Monsters, Inc. is better, but tomorrow The Incredibles is probably going to be better for me. The Incredibles is just a brilliant film, and I absolutely love it. The family are brilliant. I love all of the characters, the powers. Edna is brilliant. Syndrome is a perfect villain, and it's just a fun time. I absolutely love it, and Incredibles 2, as you find out later, I also really love. I just love this family, the Parr family, they're amazing, and the superpowers, and it was great to see superheroes in animation form. And to be honest, out of all of the superhero films that we get nowadays, The Incredibles is still classed as one of my favorite. I just think, what a creative idea, and I just love it. Next, we have Cars. Now, this is probably going to be my first very big controversial opinion of this video. Personally, for me, the Cars films I like, but I don't like as much as these films. And I know they are some people's favorites. And as you'll find out later, I really like some of the films in the Cars franchise that most people dislike. And I know that's going to get me a lot of hate. So make sure you already dislike the video now. For me personally, Cars is an average movie. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as these things, but I don't think it's as bad as A Bug's Life. I'm going to put it as B tier because every time I watch it, I have a fun time with it. However, personally, I don't think Lightning McQueen's that brilliant of a character. The other characters are fine. They're just not like any of these guys. And I think it's okay, basically. So it's going in B tier. Similarly, Ratatouille, I love the idea, and I think it's a very interesting idea. However, the characters I just never really connected with that much. I still think it's a decent movie. Like, I have a fun time every time I watch it, but it's not like a standout like these films for me. So for that reason, it's going to go in the B tier. Next, we have Wally. Now, I absolutely love Wally. Originally, when I watched it when I was younger, I didn't really appreciate it as much. I just thought it's a bit weird, especially how the first, like, half an hour of the film, there's, like, no talking. It's just seeing a robot going around basically a trash world. And I didn't see what's so fun about that. But then as I've gotten older and as I've rewatched this film, it's a really emotional, heart-wrenching film. And I love it. Like, the idea of just Wally, this tiny little robot, one of the last working ones on Earth, going around, finding a plant, trying to save the entire human race, and his emotion with Eve. And I never thought I'd be invested with two random robots falling in love together across the stars, but I just am. I think the theming in it is brilliant. The ideas in it are perfect. And I just think it's so emotional, such a brilliant idea, and very relevant to today, of course. And the people on the Axiom, I think they're funny as well, and the captain's really good. And A113 is a really scary, intimidating villain for just being like a wheel. So that's pretty cool. So for that reason, it's going to go in the A tier. To be honest, I'm probably going to say it's better than Finding Nemo. I really do like Wally, but is it as good as the S tier? Unfortunately not. Next, we have Up. This is probably going to be another one of my controversial opinions. I do really like Up, and I think the characters are really cool. And I love just the concept of this old guy trying to fulfill his dead wife's dream by traveling away, by literally attaching his house to a bunch of balloons and flying away. I think that's an amazing image. And I love the kind of like sad theory that actually this is all just like Carl's journey up to heaven, and Paradise Falls is literally like heaven for him. And I just think that's a really nice metaphor, and I think it's really cute and sweet. And the beginning of this film, so emotional. First 10 minutes, cry every single time. However, the film itself, like the actual like main bit of it that you watch, I don't think is that interesting. The concept is brilliant. The characters are really fun. The setup is amazing. However, the actual film itself, and when the villains start coming and the talking dogs, I just find it not that interesting. So it's gonna go high B tier. Like, I really appreciate what it's doing, and like just the simple title of Up, like how cool is that? And the themings that it looks at are really interesting. I just think the actual film itself isn't that good. So B tier. Next, we have Toy Story 3. This is my favorite Pixar film of all time. It's brilliant, love it. I remember seeing it in the cinema as a kid. Absolutely love it. Love Lotso, love all these characters, and it's the only Toy Story film where I actually think, do you know what? All of these characters who we've grown to love, they're finally all together now, and we finally get to see how they react without their kid. And it's brilliant. Like the journey that Woody goes on, the journey that the other toys go on. it's just amazing. Like, you can't beat this film, and I wish they ended it with a trilogy. That's all I'm going to say. So when I get to Toy Story 4, you'll see what I mean. Toy Story 3, definitely S tier. Absolutely love it. There's nothing more I need to say about it. It is just my favourite Pixar film. It is arguably my favourite film of all time. Like, it is just so fun. I have such a good time with it. So, S tier. Next, we have Cars 2. Now, this is probably going to be the most controversial opinion of the video, because most people would want me to put it down here in the D tier. Like, cars with spy tech. It's not even really about racing. You know, what's the point compared to this first film? Obviously, it's rubbish. I disagree. I actually really love this film. And I know it has the annoying trait of making Mater the main character, which I have to say, if Lightning McQueen had been the main character and had been put on a spy as well, and then it was kind of like while he was racing he had to spy with, I think that would have been much better. But I'm not going to lie, I'm a sucker for spy films. And I actually think this is really cool. Like, seeing cars, like, shoot guns out of their headlights and getting trapped in Big Ben and having it set in London and actually having like a world championships with F1 cars. And to be honest, I actually just think it's a really fun time and an interesting spy plot to it. Do I think it's the best Pixar film of all time? No. Do I think it's better than Cars 1? Yeah. Do I think it's better than Up? Yeah. Do I think it's crap? No, I actually do think it's a really good film. And I'm going to put it in A tier. Disagree with me completely. Dislike the video straight away. Comment down below that you hate me. I don't care. I love it. So, A tier. Next we have Brave. I know lots of people really dislike this one as well. I feel like either people love it or people hate it. Personally for me, I don't mind it. I think it's pretty decent. Every time I watch it, I appreciate it less. So it's not really a positive, but you know, for the first times I watched it, I thought it was really cool. I loved the witch in it. I loved just the story of Merida getting really annoyed at her mum and trying to like defy all of the odds, and then ending up turning her mum into a bear, and seeing Merida and Eleanor as a bear like interact with each other is hilarious. And you get the iconic song of Touch the Sky, which I really like. And the ending's really cool as well. I know Mordu had to come back and most people find that a bit annoying, but I think the bear fight's really cool, and you know, the action scenes in it are really cool. So for me, I'm going to put it in A tier. I really like it. Next we have Monsters University. Again, lots of people look at this and think Monsters Inc. was so amazing. Monsters University is obviously D tier, like it's rubbish. I disagree. I really like it. Am I tempted to put it in S tier? I really am. Like, I really am. But I don't think it's S tier. I think it's very, very high A tier. Personally, for me, I know lots of people were like, well, it kind of contradicts a lot of what happened in Monsters Inc. It doesn't really add to it. I think it does. I think it works really well. And if you watch it in order, apart from that random line of the 4th grader pal, that was a bit weird in Monsters Inc. But if you watch Monsters University and then Monsters Inc. straight after, and now Monsters at Work, it is like a really cool timeline. And I do love how you just really connect with Mike in this film, and kind of like comes with really cool messages of, yeah, you can try and dream for everything you want, but at the end of the day, sometimes you're gonna have to accept that you actually can't be what you've always wanted to be, and sometimes you just gotta be like just in that area but not actually make it. And I think that's a really serious lesson for kids and adults and anyone to learn, and I really like it. And to be honest, I love the scare games, I love Uzma Kappa, and that bit at the end, the emotion at the sea side with Mike and Sully in the human world is really emotional. I absolutely love it. So for that reason, it's definitely A tier. Love it. Next we have Inside Out. This one grows on me a lot because I know lots of people think it's like such an amazing film, like it's their favorite. For me, it's similar to Up. Like, I love the concept and I think it's a brilliant idea, and the ending is really good and there's some amazing emotional parts. But unfortunately, the main body of it isn't really that interesting. I don't really find joy and sadness walking around Riley's brain that interesting, like the lines that they say to each other. I think it's a cool concept, and the bit with Bing Bong's pretty cool. However, I just find just their journey not that like intriguing. But every time I do watch it, I do appreciate this film more and more. So I think it's gonna go high B tier. Next we have The Good Dinosaur. Now, I never actually saw this Pixar film until a few years ago, but I'd heard it was interesting is a way of describing it, and of course it's the only Pixar film to ever lose money because they spent more on the advertising than the film actually made, and I'm not surprised that it lost money. D tier. Like, it's so boring. It's incredible animation. Like, I think it's some of Pixar's best works, especially the water in that film is incredible. But for me, it was just so boring. I think it was trying to do what Wally did, where it has like the kid who doesn't really talk that much and it's only Arlo talking, similar to Wally and Eve. However, Wally just did it way better. And the Good Dinosaur, for me, I don't think it was that good. So, D tier. Next, we have Finding Dory. Now, I mentioned before, I prefer Finding Nemo. Doesn't mean that I hate Finding Dory. I do actually really like it. And I know lots of people tend to hate it, like, just because it gets really unrealistic at the end, like Dory driving a truck and all that sort of stuff, Hank the Septopus just being a bit too overpowered. But personally, I have a fun time with it. I think with these films, at the end of the day, we have like talking monsters, talking toys, talking cars, fish driving trucks. Doesn't really seem that like mad. So if you just go in it with that sort of mindset, it is actually a really cool film. So I really like it. I'm gonna say end of A tier. Like, have a fun time with it. Next we have Cars 3. Similar to Cars 2, I prefer this over Cars 1 by far, and it's a shame that they stopped the spy thing because I would have preferred that to go on, but I know that's a very controversial opinion and most people will disagree with me on that. So for me, I think it's still A tier. I really do like it, and I think it's just going to be the end of A tier. I don't think it's as good as Cars 2, but I definitely think it's better than Cars 1. And I really do like Lightning McQueen's kind of journey of acceptance that he goes on this one to kind of just say, right, he is now an old racer. And it's interesting to see him verse against electric cars. I think that's a cool concept. Next we have Coco. Again, pretty cool concept, and I will say a pretty cool film as well. I always enjoy watching this film, and it is a one that gets me really emotional, especially when Miguel finds out that Ernesto de la Cruz isn't his real dad and he is actually a villain. I just think that turn is brilliant. One of Pixar's best plot twists in my opinion. And I really just do like the emotion and just the fun time that this film gives you. So for me, I think it's A tier. I'd say it's probably better than Finding Nemo. I really do like it. Next we have Incredibles 2. Now, Incredibles is like Toy Story to me. I love it. And it's definitely S tier. I think it had the same vibe as the first film, but just improved on it, expanded on it, and it was brilliant. And every time I watch The Incredibles and Incredibles 2, I just have such a good time. Like, I love both of them, and these two are interchangeable. Like, they can switch at any point. I think today, personally, I'm feeling The Incredibles better than Incredibles 2, but tomorrow, Incredibles 2 might be better. They just switch for me, and I love the kind of continuation of the story, and I really hope we get Incredibles 3, because I just love that so much. Next, we have Toy Story 4. Now, you notice I absolutely love the Toy Story films. Toy Story 3, like I say, my favourite film ever. Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2, they're in the S tier. Love them. And then we've got Toy Story 4. Which just really annoys me. Like, it really annoys me. Toy Story 3, incredible ending. This Toy Story trilogy, yes, it was about these toys. Don't get me wrong. It was about Woody and all that sort of stuff. However, it was about these toys and their relationship with their owner, and that owner was Andy. Sure, make shorts afterwards about them and Bonnie. Like the Toy Story tunes, I find them pretty cool. They're like extra add-ons. Do not make a feature film about it. It's just not needed. And then, don't make a feature film about bringing Bo Peep back, who, might I tell you, was not that popular of a character and wasn't that brilliant in Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2, and bring her back like this. And then, don't just make an entire film about Woody. Like, I've always thought this film is Woody. And I'll link a video up somewhere up here in the cards to my frustrations with this film. How they just made Buzz incredibly stupid, considering he was against people like Lotso and had to escape the butterfly room in Sunnyside and all that sort of stuff in Toy Story 3. Suddenly in this one, he's completely dumb. Woody just kind of like disobeys everything that he's done over the past few films and forgets everything, which I guess you could say is character development, but I don't like the direction it went in. The goodbye that they give of like, okay, goodbye Woody, I really don't like that term for the character. I just think if this film had just been called the spin-off Woody and hadn't been called Toy Story 4, I would have much preferred that. And I think it would have been really cool because then we would have had Woody and we would have had Lightyear. That would have been fine, but calling it Toy Story 4 and ruining that trilogy has really annoyed me. I hope Lightyear doesn't do the same thing, and Lightyear's not going to do the same thing. because it's completely different. So I'm very thankful for that. But for me, Toy Story 4 is not it. They completely ruined it, and it drives me insane every time I think about it. I don't think it's as bad as The Good Dinosaur. It's not that bad. It's in C tier for me. It ruined everything, and it really annoys me. Tell me in the comments whether you agree with me, but it's just so annoying. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, C tier. Next we have Onward. Onward and the rest of these films, apart from Soul, enter what I call Pixar's weird phase, which is basically all of these films feel like Pixar to me. And I know lots of people will criticize me saying, oh, well, Pixar's just going in this new direction. It's pretty cool. I will agree with you. I'm liking the way they're doing things, but all of these films, apart from Soul, don't really feel like Pixar to me. Onward especially, and Turning Red when we get onto it, feels more like a Disney film. And I love the Disney films, like Wreck-It Ralph, that's one of my favourite films. Big Hero 6, absolutely love it. Moana, all that sort of stuff. Raya and the Last Dragon, absolutely love them. However, I watch them because I want to see a Disney film, and I watch these because I want to see Pixar films. And Onward feels a lot more like a Disney film. However, I love Chris Pratt, I love Tom Holland, and I do really like the story, and the idea of brotherhood I really like. Unfortunately for me, it feels like at this point Pixar's run out of ideas, because they've kind of done like, well, what if this was alive? What if toys were alive? What if cars were alive? What if monsters were alive? What if the dead was alive in here? What if emotions were alive? And now they're at what if elves were alive, which is just not as good. So I think end of B tier. I do really like it, but compared to these classics, it's never going to beat. Next we have Soul. Now, I'd just seen Onward and I was like, it's not that brilliant. And then Soul came along. And it gave me hope that Pixar hasn't lost everything, because we had Toy Story 4. Can't stand Toy Story 4. Onward, okay. Soul, really good. Like, this was back to Pixar's classics. This was back to Inside Out, Wally, Coco, the Toy Stories, Monsters Inc. It was so, so good. And every time I watch this film, I have such a good time with it. I love 22, I love Joe, and I just love the concept of it. And every time I watch it, it just makes me think just how precious life is. And I know it's very deep, but it's such an emotional and such a brilliantly put together film, and especially watching it on Christmas Day during 2020, it was exactly what I needed. So, S tier. I just really love it. So, Soul's going there. Next we have Luca. Now I did really like Luca. Again, it feels more like a Disney film than a Pixar film, but it's a better Disney Pixar film, if you get what I mean. Like, Onward felt very much Disney. This feels like Disney with a hint of Pixar. But I really do like it. Like, it's decent. End of A tier. I like Luca. I like Alberto. I like the characters, and I like the ending where Luca finally just realizes, actually, you know, I'm just gonna let myself be a sea monster. And I think there's some really powerful themes and relevant themes to today that we can find from Luca, and it's a nice story. I do hope it gets a sequel. I really do like it. And finally, we have Turning Red, the latest film in the Pixar universe, I'm gonna say. And it was decent. I liked it. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as these films. However, I did really like it. So I think I'm gonna put it next to Up. It wasn't my type of film, but the ending was pretty cool, of seeing all of the red pandas kind of like joining together and having to take down the mum panda. I thought the theming in it was pretty cool. The concept of it is interesting and I think really relevant. However, for me, it's just not my type of film. So it's going in the B tier. But I had a fun time watching it and I enjoyed it. So what I'm hoping for is that from now on, the Pixar films are more like Soul, because I really do like Soul, if you haven't noticed, and not like Toy Story 4, and Turning Red was an okay one. But anyway, guys, that is my Pixar tier list. What do you guys think about this? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And do you agree with me, or do you think I have chosen the most controversial list possible? Let me know all your thoughts down there and where you would place these Pixar films in your very own tier list. And if you want to check out the tier list for yourself, there'll be a link down below in the description to go and check it out. And as always, we've been here on Gated Theories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.